Captain Victor of the Xeraxian Scout Fleet had studied Earth for 3 standard cycles, but nothing in their research had prepared them for the peculiar structure before them. The illuminated sign towered above the landscape, featuring what appeared to be a perfectly symmetrical yellow foodstuff suspended between 2 circular objects, crowned by what their cultural database identified as Earth royalty regalia. Analysis complete, Commander, Lieutenant Zix reported, their crystalline appendages clicking rapidly across the holographic interface. This appears to be a fortified nutrition distribution center, designated as Burger King. Our scans indicate it's one of thousands spread across this continent alone. The midnight shift at the Burger King in Grand Island, Nebraska, had been utterly unremarkable until the moment a shimmering, translucent spacecraft materialized in the drive-through lane. Tom Davidson, the newly promoted night manager, had dealt with plenty of unusual customers during his 5 years in fast food, but this was decidedly above his pay grade. "Welcome to Burger King. Would you like to try our new Bacon King meal?" Tom's voice barely trembled as he recited the required greeting into his headset, maintaining his professional composure even as the spacecraft's crystalline surface rippled like water. The response came in perfect English, though the voice had an odd metallic resonance. "Greetings, representative of the king. We seek audience with your sovereign regarding matters of interstellar diplomacy." Tom glanced at the security camera feed, where he could see Jasmine, the drive-through worker, frozen in place with a handful of French fries suspended halfway to her mouth. He took a deep breath. "Sir, this is a fast food restaurant. We serve hamburgers and fries. The king is just our mascot." There was a long pause, followed by rapid clicking sounds that might have been alien consultation. "Our intelligence suggests otherwise. We have observed that your king maintains thousands of these fortified positions across your planet, each marked with his royal insignia. The deployment of such resources suggests significant military capacity." No, you don't understand," Tom tried to explain, wondering if he should call his district manager or NASA. "It's just a brand, like McDonald's or Wendy's. You dare speak of the rival powers." The alien voice grew sharp. "Our research indicates the ongoing conflict between these factions. The Golden Arches of McDonald's control vast territories, while the Wendy's coalition maintains strongholds with their red-haired warrior queen." Tom pinched the bridge of his nose. "Listen, they're just restaurants. Different companies that sell different kinds of food. There's no conflict, except maybe over market share and who has the better chicken sandwich." "Ah, so they wage war through proxy battles over poultry-based provisions." The alien voice sounded triumphant, as if finally understanding a complex puzzle. "Most cunning. We have clearly underestimated Earth's political sophistication." By now, Jasmine had recovered enough to start recording everything on her phone, while the overnight cook, Randy, peered through the drive-through window with undisguised fascination. The spacecraft's surface continued to shimmer, occasionally displaying patterns that looked suspiciously like burger wrappers and French fry containers. "Perhaps a demonstration of your standard military rations would help us better understand your civilization's power structure," the alien suggested. Tom looked at the waiting orders on his screen and made a decision that would later be documented in both human and alien historical records. "Would you like to try a Whopper meal? It comes with fries and a drink." "We accept this diplomatic offering," the alien replied solemnly. "We will analyze these Whopper provisions to better understand Earth's military capabilities." As Tom assembled the order, he couldn't help but wonder how he would explain this on the daily report. The security footage would later show him, with remarkable composure, passing a paper bag containing a Whopper, large fries, and a Coke through the window to a crystalline appendage that emerged from the spacecraft. There was a moment of silence, followed by sounds that might have been alien scanning technology, or possibly just a wrapper being opened. Then the voice returned, this time with a note of alarm. "This Whopper contains levels of sodium and saturated fats that exceed standard combat ration specifications by 847%. Is this some form of chemical warfare training? No, it's just fast food, Tom replied, wondering if this would affect his performance review. It's meant to taste good, not be healthy. Fascinating, the alien responded. Your species deliberately consumes suboptimal nutrition for pleasure, and your warriors maintain fighting efficiency. Well, I wouldn't call us warriors, but yeah, people eat it because it tastes good. We have salads too, if you prefer something healthier. The spacecraft emitted a series of rapid pulses. This requires further study. We must document how your civilization maintains military readiness while consuming these powerful pleasure enhancers disguised as nutrition. Before Tom could explain further, the spacecraft began to fade from view. The last words they heard were, "We shall return with a full diplomatic contingent to study this fast food phenomenon. The High Command must know of this." As the spacecraft vanished completely, Tom, Jasmine, and Randy stood in silence, staring at the now empty drive-through lane. Finally, Randy spoke up. "So, should I put this in the waste log, or?" Tom looked at the register, then at the empty space where an alien spacecraft had been moments before. "I'm going to clock out for my break. When I come back, we're either going to file the weirdest incident report in Burger King history, or agree to never speak of this again." Jasmine held up her phone, still recording. Too late. This is already on TikTok. Somewhere in orbit, Captain Victor studied the Whopper with increasing concern. If humans could maintain military effectiveness while regularly consuming such intense pleasure nutrition, what other capabilities might they be hiding? The report to High Command would require careful wording. Very careful wording indeed. The United Nations Security Council had never smelled quite so much like French fries. As diplomatic delegations filed into the emergency session, they were greeted by an unusual sight. The chamber had been transformed into what could only be described as the world's most sophisticated food court. Ambassador Richard Powell stood at the podium, surrounded by carefully arranged displays from every major fast food chain on Earth. The Xeraxian diplomatic delegation had insisted on this arrangement, claiming it was essential for proper military nutritional negotiations. Distinguished delegates honored representatives of the Xeraxian High Command. Powell began, trying to ignore the fact that a junior bacon cheeseburger was being actively scanned by alien technology. "We are gathered here today to address certain misconceptions about Earth's food service industry." High Commander Zixtal of the Xeraxian fleet rose from their crystalline seat, their translucent form refracting the chamber's lighting in prismatic patterns. "We appreciate Earth's willingness to reveal the true nature of your combat nutrition networks. The strategic deployment of these competing military-grade pleasure sustenance outposts is most impressive." In the gallery, Tom Davidson shifted uncomfortably in his newly issued diplomatic advisor uniform. After his encounter with the aliens went viral, he'd been rapidly promoted from Burger King night manager to special consultant on terrestrial food service relations. The salary increase was nice, but he wasn't sure it was worth the headache. "With all due respect, High Commander," Tom interjected, following the protocol he'd been hastily taught. "These aren't military installations. They're businesses, private companies that compete for customers, not territory." The Xeraxian delegation's crystalline forms flickered with what their cultural attaché had explained was skepticism. "Yet our intelligence shows clear evidence of ongoing conflicts. Observe this recent transmission." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing a Wendy's commercial that proudly proclaimed their square patties were superior to those other round burgers. Several human delegates groaned. "That's just advertising," Tom explained. "Marketing. They're trying to convince people to buy their food instead of their competitors. Nobody's actually fighting." High Commander Zixtal's form shifted to a deeper blue, indicating intense concentration. "You mean to tell us that the McDonald's empire's golden arches are not victory monuments erected over conquered territories? They're just logos," Ambassador Powell explained patiently. "Brand recognition. Marketing symbols. And the one you call Colonel Sanders did not achieve his military rank through combat. Before anyone could respond, a junior Ziraxian analyst burst into the chamber, their crystalline form pulsing with urgent patterns. High Commander, we've intercepted troubling intelligence. The subway faction appears to be engaging in aggressive territorial expansion. They claim to have footlongs in thousands of locations. The human delegates exchanged glances that ranged from desperately suppressed laughter to outright despair. Tom stepped forward again, sensing impending disaster. That's just the name of a sandwich, he explained. It's 12 inches long. No weapons involved. Ah. The junior analyst's pulses dimmed slightly. And the Pizza Hut. Not a fortified command center. Just Italian food, Tom sighed. Well, American Italian. Sort of. The Ziraxian delegation huddled together, their crystalline forms merging briefly in what appeared to be intense discussion. When they separated, High Commander Zixtal addressed the chamber again. If these are truly civilian enterprises, explain the ritual combat we observed in what you call Chicago, where supporters of deep dish pizza engage in heated conflicts with advocates of thin crust. Ambassador Powell looked like he was developing a migraine. That's just people having strong opinions about food. It's cultural, not military. Cultural. The alien commander's form shimmered with interest. You mean to say your species developed strong tribal affiliations based on food preparation methods? Sometimes, Tom admitted, you should hear people argue about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. This prompted another huddle among the Ziraxian delegation. When they emerged, their crystalline forms had taken on a pale lavender hue that their cultural attaché usually associated with bewilderment. Let us confirm our understanding. High Commander Zixtal began carefully. Your species has developed a vast network of specialized food distribution centers, not for military purposes, but because you have strong emotional attachments to specific methods of combining proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. That's actually a pretty good summary, Tom nodded. And these enterprises engage in symbolic warfare through visual propaganda and ritual declarations of superiority, while their supporters form cultural alliances based on personal preferences for different combinations of nutrients. Yes, exactly. The Ziraxian delegation's colors shifted through a rapid sequence that the human observers couldn't interpret. Finally, High Commander Zixtal spoke again. This is far more complex than mere military strategy. We must revise our entire approach to understanding human civilization. They turned to their advisors. Cancel the planned tactical analysis of the Five Guys supply chain. Instead, prepare for comprehensive cultural immersion. We need to understand this phenomenon called taste. As the session adjourned, Tom watched the Ziraxian delegates examining a display of different burger varieties with their scanning equipment. He overheard one of them muttering something that translated roughly as, "But why would they make the pickles optional if they're clearly superior with pickles?" Ambassador Powell approached Tom, looking exhausted. Good work in there. But now they want to understand regional barbecue variations. Think you can handle explaining the Kansas City versus Texas debate? Tom looked at his watch, then at the increasingly animated alien delegation. I'm going to need a raise. In the corner, a Ziraxian analyst was carefully documenting the precise layering methodology of a Big Mac, while another was attempting to understand why humans would intentionally make their mouths burn with something called hot sauce. The Great Fast Food Summit was just beginning, and Earth's culinary diplomats had their work cut out for them. Field Agent Nixil adjusted their holographic disguise for the third time, trying to look more like what humans called a food critic. The Ziraxian High Command had authorized this covert operation after the diplomatic summit revealed the complexity of Earth's food culture. Their mission: infiltrate various fast food establishments to understand their true operational protocols. Status report, came Commander Zixtal's voice through their neural link. Have you successfully penetrated the Taco Bell security perimeter? Affirmative. Nixil subvocalized, sliding into a booth with their specially designed scanning equipment disguised as a smartphone. Though I must note, their designation as a bell appears to be purely ceremonial. I have detected no actual bells. At the counter, Junior Field Agent Kix was attempting to place an order while maintaining their human disguise. Yes, I would like to sample your most tactically advantageous combination meal. Perhaps something with your highest concentration of what humans call cheese. The teenage cashier, Brandon, barely looked up from his register. After 3 weeks of alien secret shoppers, the staff had developed a certain resigned acceptance. So, you want a Crunchwrap Supreme combo. Supreme. Kix's holographic eyebrows shot up. You dare to invoke matters of supremacy. Is this a challenge to our authority? Nah, man, it's just got extra toppings, Brandon sighed. You want fire sauce with that? In their booth, Nixil was frantically documenting this exchange. Command, be advised. They are offering substances classified as fire. This confirms our theories about humans training their digestive systems for chemical warfare. Across town, another team was conducting surveillance at a KFC. Field Agent Vexar, disguised as a business executive, was becoming increasingly agitated. Command, I must report disturbing findings. They transmitted. The humans are consuming avian life forms that have been encased in a protective shell of carbohydrates and subjected to extreme heat in lipid baths. Yet they appear to derive pleasure from this. Document everything, Commander Zixtal ordered, especially this substance they call gravy. Our scientists still cannot determine its molecular composition. The operation expanded throughout the day. At McDonald's, Agent Rix became obsessed with understanding the precise nature of the McRib, filing a 47-page report on how humans could become emotionally attached to a temporarily available food item. Their conclusion: possible mass psychotropic effects from the barbecue sauce. Tom Davidson, now officially the UN's fast food cultural attaché, was trying to keep track of all the alien operatives while preventing any major diplomatic incidents. His job wasn't made easier by the fact that the Ziraxians were becoming increasingly invested in their research. Sir, his assistant Jennifer reported, checking her tablet, we have a situation at Arby's. One of the aliens is demanding to know why humans would create a food item called Meat Mountain and is insisting it must be some kind of strength ritual. Tom rubbed his temples. At least they're not at Waffle House yet. About that, Jennifer winced. 3 agents went in an hour ago. They're refusing to leave until they understand why the hash browns can be ordered scattered, smothered, and covered. Meanwhile, at the local Dairy Queen, Agent Mix was having an existential crisis. Command, I require immediate consultation. They have presented me with something called a blizzard. It appears to defy your planet's gravitational laws when inverted. Are we certain humans haven't mastered gravity manipulation? The situation reached its peak when a team of agents discovered the existence of all-you-can-eat buffets. Commander Zixtal had to personally intervene when one agent attempted to calculate the theoretical limits of all-you-can-eat through continuous consumption. Fascinating, the commander observed, watching security footage of humans piling endless plates with food. They create arenas of unlimited sustenance just to test their own limitations. Such warrior spirit. Tom was called in to prevent a diplomatic incident when an agent at Golden Coral became convinced the chocolate fountain was a portal to another dimension. It's just chocolate, he explained for what felt like the 1000th time. Yes, it flows continuously. No, it's not a violation of conservation of mass laws. By day's end, the Ziraxian data analysts were overwhelmed. Their findings included 17 different theories about why humans would deliberately make their food spicy, a 200-page analysis of drive-through window technology, 3 agents who had gone native and were now arguing about which pizza chain was superior, 1 very concerning report about something called a bloomin' onion. Commander Zixtal reviewed the preliminary findings in their cloaked command ship, which was parked in the empty lot behind a Denny's. Agent Nixil, Summarize your conclusions. Sir, after extensive observation, I must report that human food culture is even more complex than we initially suspected. They have created an entire civilization around the voluntary consumption of items that are simultaneously harmful and pleasurable. They gather in these establishments not just for sustenance, but for social bonding, cultural expression, and something they call comfort food. And their combat effectiveness. Unaffected, sir. If anything, these dietary practices seem to strengthen their social bonds. I witnessed 2 humans nearly engage in physical combat over whether In-N-Out Burger was superior to Five Guys. The commander's crystalline form pulsed thoughtfully. Continue surveillance, and send a team to investigate this establishment called Chipotle. Our sensors indicate unusual levels of guacamole-related financial transactions. Back at UN headquarters, Tom was updating his unprecedented expense report when Jennifer brought him more news. Sir, the aliens have discovered food trucks. Tom looked at his watch, then at his bottle of antacids. God help us all. The emergency alert came at 3 a.m. Tom Davidson was jolted awake by his government-issued phone blaring what he'd specifically said as his alien fast food crisis ringtone. The Burger King jingle played backward. Sir, Jennifer's voice was tense. The Xeraxians have gone to Defsion fries. They're convinced we're on the brink of a fast food civil war. What? Tom fumbled for his glasses. Why would they? Oh no. The new ad campaign launched today, didn't it? Yes, sir. They saw the billboards. Across America, a massive marketing campaign had just gone live. Burger King had launched their most aggressive promotion yet, War of the HEWEERS. Battle for Burgers Supari Mesui. The campaign featured imagery of burgers engaged in epic battles, with slogans like, "Choose your side," and "Victory never tasted so good." The Xeraxian High Command's response was immediate and dramatic. Their flagship materialized above Times Square, its crystalline surface reflecting the very advertisements that had triggered the crisis. This is Commander Zixtal to all Earth authorities. The transmission boomed across emergency channels. We are monitoring your escalating conflict with grave concern. The activation of your burger-based warfare protocols threatens regional stability. Tom arrived at UN headquarters to find the Situation Room in chaos. Ambassador Powell was trying to coordinate with fast food corporate executives, while military leaders attempted to explain to the aliens that no actual armies were being mobilized. But your own propaganda speaks of crushing the competition. High Commander Zixtal's hologram insisted. Our analysts have documented increasing hostilities between your food factions. On the main screen, surveillance footage showed Xeraxian agents documenting what they believed were signs of impending conflict. A Wendy's sign reading, "Our burgers make others look small." McDonald's, "I'm loving it," interpreted as a battle cry. A Five Guys location suspiciously close to an In-N-Out Burger, something called the McRib returning, which they took as a sign of troops being called back to active duty. High Commander, Tom stepped forward. I assure you this is all just marketing. Competitive advertising. No one is actually going to war. Then explain this. A new hologram appeared, showing a Taco Bell commercial where their food literally demolished the competition. Clear evidence of planned tactical strikes. The crisis deepened when the Xeraxians intercepted Twitter posts about the chicken sandwich wars between Popeyes and Chick-fil-A. Their cultural analysts went into overdrive trying to understand this new theater of conflict. Our intelligence suggests these chains have weaponized poultry to unprecedented levels, a Xeraxian analyst reported. Humans are willingly standing in lines for hours to obtain these tactical sandwiches. In boardrooms across America, marketing executives were being rudely awakened to learn their campaigns had nearly triggered an interstellar incident. The CEO of Burger King was particularly distressed to learn that the Xeraxians had interpreted their mascot, the king, as a legitimate monarch preparing to assert military authority. Perhaps we should have gone with Have it your way instead of prepare for total flavor domination, the marketing director admitted sheepishly during an emergency video conference. The situation reached its peak when a Xeraxian scout ship detected a food truck festival in Portland. The concentration of mobile food distribution units in one location set off all their tactical alerts. They're mobilizing their forces, the scout reported. Multiple cuisine types converging on a single location. Korean-Mexican fusion could be deployed at any moment. Tom had to act fast. He organized an emergency demonstration at a local mall food court with representatives from every major chain serving food simultaneously to happy customers. You see, he gestured to the peaceful scene. Different restaurants coexist peacefully. People choose what they want based on personal preference. No combat involved. The Xeraxian observers watched in fascination as a human child consumed McDonald's fries while their parent ate Subway, with no signs of factional strife. But the advertisements. Commander Zixtal's hologram flickered uncertainly. The claims of supremacy. It's entertainment, Tom explained. Humans enjoy a little dramatic competition. It makes choosing lunch more interesting. But nobody's actually fighting. The commander's crystalline form pulsed thoughtfully. So when Burger King claims their Whopper will annihilate hunger, they are employing metaphor rather than describing actual antimatter weapons. Exactly. Tom felt hope rising. It's just colorful language to make food sound more exciting. The Xeraxian leadership conferred in rapid pulses of light. Finally, Commander Zixtal spoke again. We are relieved to learn that full-scale warfare is not imminent. However, we remain concerned about the intensity of human attachment to these food factions. Our research indicates some humans would, as they say, die for a Krispy Kreme donut. That's just an expression, Tom assured them. Though I admit, when they're hot and fresh. He caught himself as the Xeraxian forms began pulsing in alarm again. I mean, it's just very good food. No one is actually dying over donuts. As the crisis de-escalated, marketing departments across the country received new guidelines about potentially alarming alien observers. Phrases like taste explosion, food fight, and secret sauce were quietly retired. The Xeraxians, however, remained stationed on Earth, convinced there was still more to learn about human food culture. Their next report to the High Command focused on a newfound phenomenon, something humans called competitive eating contests. Tom started keeping antacids in every room of his house. Somehow, he suspected his job was about to get even more interesting. The solution came, as many great human innovations do, at 3 in the morning after too much caffeine. Tom Davidson sat in his office at the UN, surrounded by fast food wrappers and reports of increasingly bizarre Xeraxian research into human cuisine, when it hit him. Jennifer. He called out to his assistant, who was dozing on the office couch. I know how to make them understand. Memph. Jennifer lifted her head from a pile of potential Taco Bell conspiracy reports. Did they finally figure out that a Happy Meal isn't actually weaponized joy? Better. We've been going about this all wrong. Tom began pacing excitedly. We've been trying to explain our food culture through logic and reason. But that's not how humans experience food at all. Operation Taste of Humanity launched the next day. Instead of more diplomatic meetings and explanations, Tom proposed something unprecedented, a global food festival with the Xeraxians as guests of honor. High Commander Zixtal was skeptical. You propose to gather all your food factions in one location. The potential for conflict will be zero, Tom assured them, because we're not going to explain our food culture. We're going to let you experience it. The event transformed Central Park into the world's most ambitious food festival. Every cuisine, from high-end restaurants to street food vendors, was represented. But more importantly, Tom had arranged for something special. Cooking demonstrations. You see, Tom explained to a group of fascinated Xeraxian observers, humans don't just eat food. We create it. We share it. We express ourselves through it. They watched as a grandmother demonstrated how to make hand-pulled noodles, her techniques passed down through generations. A pitmaster revealed the secrets of slow-smoking brisket, explaining how patience transforms tough meat into something transcendent. A pizzaiolo tossed dough into the air with balletic grace, turning simple ingredients into edible art. The Zyraxians' crystalline forms shifted through colors of deep interest as they observed families sharing meals, friends arguing good-naturedly about the best toppings, and strangers bonding over shared plates. Fascinating, Agent Nixil commented, watching children learn to make their first sushi rolls. The preparation of sustenance appears to serve a social bonding function that extends beyond mere nutrition. The breakthrough came during the pizza-making workshop. A Zyraxian scientist, attempting to understand the physics of dough tossing, accidentally discovered that their crystalline appendages were perfect for creating microscopically precise cheese distribution. The ratio of sauce to cheese to toppings, they announced excitedly, it's not just random. It's an exercise in balance and harmony. Tom watched in amazement as the Zyraxians began to truly engage with the food. Their scientific precision, initially focused on analyzing human behavior, transformed into genuine curiosity about the creative process. Commander, a junior analyst reported, their form glowing with excitement. I believe I understand now. Their food preparation is not about combat readiness or territorial dominance. It's art, science, culture, all combined. High Commander Zixtal, who had been quietly observing a child messily enjoying an ice cream cone, turned to Tom. Your species deliberately creates imperfect, temporary works of sustenance, knowing they will be destroyed through consumption, and finds joy in this process. That's actually a beautiful way to put it, Tom nodded. The event reached its pinnacle when the Zyraxians revealed their own contribution. They had used their advanced technology to create what they called a quantum fusion pizza. The dish somehow combined the essence of every Earth cuisine they had studied, using their crystalline technology to maintain impossible flavors in perfect harmony. As humans and aliens gathered to share this unprecedented meal, barriers began to fall. Zyraxian scientists debated marinara recipes with Italian chefs. Cultural analysts discovered the joy of brain freeze from Slurpees. One particularly adventurous agent had to be gently discouraged from attempting to metabolize an entire ghost pepper. We have been monitoring your species for signs of advancement, Commander Zixtal admitted to Tom as they watched the festivities. We looked for weapons, technology, conquests. Yet here we find sophistication in the act of sharing sustenance. The final report to the Zyraxian High Command read very differently from their initial warnings about Earth's fast food military complex. Humans have developed a relationship with sustenance that transcends mere survival. They have transformed the basic need for nutrition into an art form, a social bond, and a method of cultural expression. Their fast food establishments are not military installations, but rather monuments to their species' creativity and desire for shared experiences. Recommendation: establish permanent cultural exchange program. Priority: learning how to properly layer a 7-layer burrito. In the months that followed, Earth's food culture was forever changed by the Zyraxian influence. Crystalline food trucks offered dishes that defied physics. Fast food chains had to add quantum uncertainty warnings to their nutritional information. And somewhere in deep space, the Zyraxian homeworld experienced its first traffic jam. At the grand opening of their first Burger King franchise, Tom, now officially Earth's Interstellar Culinary Relations Director, kept a special souvenir in his office. The receipt from that first Whopper he'd served through a drive-through window to a confused alien scout ship. Next to it stood a crystalline sculpture that somehow contained the essence of every flavor on Earth, a gift from the Zyraxian science team. "You know what the funny thing is," he said to Jennifer one day, watching a Zyraxian food critic's holographic review of a hot dog cart. In the end, they weren't entirely wrong. Food really is one of humanity's most powerful forces, just not in the way they initially thought. Jennifer nodded, taking a bite of what appeared to be a quantum-enhanced donut that tasted like every breakfast she'd ever loved. Should we tell them about competitive eating contests yet? Let's save something for next year's cultural exchange, Tom smiled. Though I have to admit, I'm curious to see what they'll make of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. High above Earth, in their crystalline flagship, Commander Zixtal added a final note to their observatory log. Of all the species we have encountered in our explorations, humans may be the only ones who turned the simple act of sustenance into an expression of their highest aspirations, deepest connections, and most profound creativity. Also, their deep-fried Oreos may qualify as a violation of several universal constants. Further research required. And in a small Burger King in Nebraska, the night shift staff still kept a special protocol for extraterrestrial customers. Always ask if they want fries with that. Some things, it seems, are truly universal.